PlayStation 1 is an amazing system, and in my opinion, holds some of the best horror games to date. My favorites are Resident Evil 2, Dino Crisis, Alone in the Dark and New Nightmare, Silent Hill, and Nightmare Creatures 2. I love hidden gems more than I love some of these games, and Nightmare Creatures 2 is like the most hidden of hidden gems. And damn it, someone needs to talk about it, and I'm that person. But why am I covering the second game and not the first? Well, I planned on covering the first one, but it just didn't capture me. It's one of those games that I should absolutely adore, but can't really put my finger onto why I couldn't get into it. It is right up my alley. London setting, creepy atmosphere, great music, werewolves, and more. Normally I don't mind games that are quote-unquote dated. I actually think that most have sort of a charm to them. The original Nightmare Creatures is just sort of dated. Who knows? I may revisit it sometime. Now I got the gist of what the first game's story is, but just to be safe, I'm gonna read the Wikipedia entry on Nightmare Creatures 2, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. In 1934, Adam Crowley, an occultist and antagonist from the previous game, has created a vast race of mutant creatures, which he is using to wipe out a group of monster hunters called the Circle. Meanwhile, Herbert Wallace, a patient at Crowley's genetics hospital, escapes from captivity armed with an axe. He arrives in London where he is rescued from a fire by Rachel, the only surviving member of the Circle. They head their separate ways, with Wallace venturing to Crowley's castle, only to discover that the occultist is not there, but is in Paris. And that's where we're going to stop, because the rest of it basically just tells you the entire story, and I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who is interested in playing it. The game opens up with a badass cutscene compilation. This shows you what you can basically expect from Nightmare Creatures 2. The music is metal as f***. The game features licensed music by Rob Zombie in the cutscenes, and it even promotes that on its cover. The rest of the music was composed by the first game's composer, Frederick Motti. I am so sorry if I butchered that. Starting the actual game, it shoots to the man you play as, Herbert Wallace, freaking out, grabbing his axe and getting the heck out of the asylum. The second you break out of your room is whenever you encounter your first enemy, some sort of zombie that's on fire. Dang, this game doesn't waste any time. It gets you right into it. The combat is different than the original. Once you get close enough to an enemy, it locks you onto them and shows both of your health bars. The camera angle, once you're locked onto one of those monsters, makes the combat feel way more intense, rather than just keeping it standard behind the back and slashing away. I gotta say, presentation alone, this game gets a 10 out of freaking 10. The atmosphere is flawless. It's disgusting in an impressive sort of way. It's dark, gory, intense, scary, and unsettling. Attacks are fast. Triangle is a push, square and X are different variations on sort of the same attack, and circle is block. Don't mistake this as a hack and slash game though. Out of the 3 difficulties, easy, medium, and hard, you still need to block and dodge. I love the amount of blood that gets thrown on the walls when slashing these undead monsters. Personal preference, I like gore in games. Not too much gore, but when it's done right like this, it gets major points in my book. When you get your enemies down to their last bit of health, you get a fatality prompt, where you can perform a gruesome and awesome final attack. Each monster you perform this on is always different, which thankfully makes doing these not mind-numbingly monotonous. There are many special one-hit kill items you can pick up throughout playing the game. A few are a hand cannon with normal and incendiary rounds, some sort of fireball that you throw on the ground and it burns them to a crisp, and probably my favorite is a swarm of flies you can unleash and they literally eat your enemy alive. You'll want to save these for enemies that take a chunk out of your health when facing them. Sometimes health pickups are few and far between. Sometimes they're plentiful. So when you get to a creature that's tough for you to block or dodge, save these special items for them. Yo, especially these guys. These guys were a major pain in my Speaking of creatures, segue, each of these enemies you fight are designed perfectly. As you progress, you see more and more repulsive beasts, which is welcome, so I don't have to kill the same baddies over and over again. I'm super nostalgic for low polygonal graphics like this. You know, the N64 and PS1 3D games. But I'm not looking at these as bad, because for its time, it's pretty damn impressive. We live in a time where we get to play the most gorgeous games ever made. Horizon Zero Dawn, The Order 1886, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, Uncharted 4.
to go, Sully. Still got it.
But for a game that was released in the year 2000, I have not been this impressed and blown away by a video game from that time. It's weird, I know. The levels in Nightmare Creatures 2 are long with minimal and quick loading. It only happens once or twice a level. What makes horror games successful in my book are atmosphere, tension, and monster design, all of which Nightmare Creatures 2 pulls off flawlessly. You are in bloody asylums, dark and cold streets of London, rundown houses, cathedrals, rooftops. All of them are claustrophobic, scary, intense, with zombies sometimes popping out of nowhere to keep you on the edge of your seat. It's because it's on the edge of my seat and it's scared. This joke isn't going anywhere, is it? Now, look, you saw the title of this video, and it may seem clickbaity as all get out, but it's really not. Nightmare Creatures 2 is Bloodborne on the PlayStation 1. If you don't know what Bloodborne is, it's a gothic horror game exclusively on the PlayStation 4 developed by the legendary From Software. From Software are most well known for creating the gaming phenomenon that is the Dark Souls franchise. Bloodborne is more action-oriented than Dark Souls. Dark Souls wants you to block with shields and has more of a medieval theme. Bloodborne is much faster paced with more action in a disgusting, blood-drenched Victorian-era London. That stuff is right up my alley for sure. It's tough, but fair. Bloodborne wants you to watch and learn your opponent's moves, die, return, and get better. You need to dodge and roll out of every enemy's attacks along with countering some gruesome kills. It sort of reminds me of something. Nightmare Creatures 2 is similar, but it does have a block button. You can play it safe and strafe around instead of blocking though. But the game is a lot more fun learning each enemy's patterns. Alright, I've been giving this game a lot of praise, but it does have some problems. So Nightmare Creatures 2 was not only released on the original PlayStation, but also on the Sega Dreamcast. I've never owned or played a Dreamcast, but I imagine it runs better on that system compared to the original PlayStation. I only say that because this game was released at the tail end of the PlayStation 1 lifecycle, and it pushes the console to its absolute limits. That's one of the reasons I was so amazed. The cutscenes and voiceovers are really well done, and they nail the graphics. Since it is such a big game, it lags a bit. Nothing that really hinders you in combat or movement, but sometimes you may execute an attack while another enemy is attacking, and it will stop for a good second and let the enemy take damage out of you. That's a little cheap. Even when traversing the levels, you can kinda tell, like, this is a little choppy. It's not too bad, frames don't drop as much, but it is noticeable. I never thought a problem in a game is that it pushes its hardware so much that it's too powerful. That's a pretty good problem to have though. Some sections just don't let you leave. Perfect example. The second level, I had to find keys to progress in the level, and once I walked back through the previous hallway, the chainsaw guy is waiting for you, and I spy an item crate behind him. What's in there? I don't care. I want it. I beat him and crashed the crate. What? It doesn't let me leave. I figured, okay, just one time. So I loaded up my previous save and it took me 10 minutes to get back to that part, and it did the exact same thing. So the third time, I just ran away and totally avoided him. It looks like the room won't let him leave either. There are about 1 or 2 save points per level, and remember, these levels are pretty long and this is a challenging game, so if you die, you'll need to backtrack. Luckily, you have 5 continues. Unluckily, I used up all of these in the very first level, the Asylum level, because I figured once you start a new level, these continues will reset, right? Wrong. You get 5 continues, period. So, when you die, you get a game over screen, booted back to the menu for you to have to manually load up your last save and trek your way back through the level. Save points aren't spaced out too well either. I love that feeling of fighting my way through a level, and once you see that save point, nothing feels better. But in several levels, there may just be one save point, and it's really, really early or really, really late in the level. Most times there are 2, which is good and fine, but some are so close to each other with little challenge in between that it makes it pointless. It's like, why didn't you move this like 15 minutes on the other side of the level so I'd have a fighting chance? It's not bad, it's just frustrating. When not in combat, square is the jump button, and you don't really use it for platforming. More for jumping over ledges or obstacles placed blocking off a hall, but the times where it needs you to jump over a large gap sucks. You jump too high and too awkward to control your movement in the air, which results in you failing to land it. I played this game on normal mode, as I do with most games. It gave me quite a bit of a challenge, which I like. Yeah, sometimes it's fun to just breeze your way through an entire game with little to no difficulty whatsoever, but not in a game like this. It wants you to, for lack of a better term, get good. And man, once you finish a level, it is so rewarding. Some may find normal mode a little tough, but that's just the nature of the game. I played a little bit in easy mode, and it still offers a good challenge, so if you don't want to see this guy over and over and over again, there's no shame. I would recommend it to the people who just want to enjoy the game, but still feel rewarded in a challenge through hard work at the end. Nightmare Creatures 2 is one of the most impressive games I've ever played. It's crazy that I'm saying that 17 years after its release. The things that blew me away about it was that it pushed the PlayStation 1 to its hardware limits. I mean, the tension, atmosphere, music, level design, graphics, monster design are all flawless. I actually got to a point when playing the game that I wanted to stop playing the game because of how impressed I was with it. All I wanted to do was make a video on it as soon as possible. It's never happened to me. If you ever stop playing a game because it's so good and you want to make a video on it to tell everybody, it's never happened. It's never happened. I was the first one. It's me. It's me. I'm the first one. Since this video is releasing in October on Friday the 13th, there's literally no better time to pick this game up. It does have problems, and I was pretty critical and analyzed all of them, but man, this game caught me. Nightmare Creatures 2 is easily in my top 10 favorite PlayStation 1 games. I normally give scores on my videos, but you can tell how much I'm in love with this game. So pick it up, it's the perfect time. One of my favorite PlayStation 1 games, and it is the most underrated, probably the most underrated PlayStation 1 game I've ever played. I was so impressed with it. Next, I'm gonna give you a life/channel update, and stick around to the very, very end of the video because I will have some video recommendations that I have done just for you. As always, thank you for watching. So, my life/channel update. Now, if you remember, about a month or two ago, I took the month off because I was moving into a house. As you can see, hasn't happened yet. It's been taking a lot longer than it was supposed to. First, it was supposed to be floors and, just relaminating the floors, and then we're putting drywall up everywhere. But in the next week to 2 weeks, it's going to be finished and we're going to be moved in. It may take a little bit, but I appreciate you guys being patient. Now, upload schedule. It's been really weird, and I apologize for that. Last week, I was going to put up a review of Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers on GameCube, and that week, for some reason, I was depressed and not feeling very creative or motivated, so I ultimately skipped that week. I even had the script written out and everything. I hadn't done any voiceover. I haven't done any on-camera stuff. But for some reason, I just felt depressed and unmotivated. Luckily, I'm out of that right now. Thankfully, you guys, all you guys had very kind words and, supporting my videos. I appreciate that. So, I like to put up my videos scheduled because as a content consumer, I always like to know I can be guaranteed a TeslaChad video every Friday, or my favorite YouTuber, I know every Friday or every Tuesday that they're gonna put up a video. I like knowing that, and I hate to let you guys down, but for some reason, sticking to a schedule has been really good, but also really bad for me because I feel like I have to have a deadline, which it technically is, but I feel less motivated to do it and more rushed to do it. And that can be, like I said earlier, really good, really bad. And once I move into this house, I may skip a couple videos because I'll be busy doing all that and adjusting to that. But stay tuned on my Twitter because that's where I update all of my stuff. Gosh, I'm mumbling and sort of getting off track, but I want to get back to a schedule, but I hope you guys understand that if I ever miss a Friday or anything, I'll tell you on Twitter. That's why I like to promote, to follow me on Twitter and everything. And I'll be honest about it. I'll be very honest. I'll be like, hey, didn't get enough time to do it this week, or didn't feel like doing it, and I want to like every single video on my channel. I remember back in June of last year, the first year I started my channel, I was late on my Uncharted 4 review, which I was very proud of. I will link to the card up here wherever it goes. And I was like a couple weeks late because I wanted to take my time. I didn't want to rush it or anything. And then I made a promise saying, all right, after this is up for the whole month of June, I'm pretty sure it was June or July, I'm going to do double the reviews and then a Shut Up and Let Me Talk About every Wednesday. And I burnt myself out, like so bad, where I wasn't even making like content I was proud of. So over time, it sort of got to me. I'm just like, I don't want to keep these up. I don't want to keep these on my channel because I don't want someone to watch this because I don't think it's good. I'm not proud of it anymore. So why would anyone else enjoy it? And some people may, but I don't like that. I want to be happy and proud of every single video I put out for you guys. I want to love it. And so I took them all down and I deleted them. And I promised myself never, ever, ever will I rush something so bad and cram my schedule so much that it makes me unhappy and depressed, and I'm not having a fun time. Because what this is for me to be creative, have fun, entertain you guys, and hopefully one day make it a career. So every video I want to be as good as possible, and I want the next video to be better, and then the next video to be better. So I hope you understand. Anytime that a video doesn't go up, I will update you on my Twitter account. I'm on Facebook as well, but I don't post much there. Normally my Twitter is where I'm the most active, so follow me on there, and I will update you if a video isn't going up. I do apologize, but I hope you understand. I'm sort of like reiterating and like saying the same things over and over again, but I just wanted to let you know. Last week I was feeling a little down. I will do the Lord of the Rings 2 Towers review, but I want to make sure before anything that I get my Halloween episode. I want to play the game and write the script and do the filming before I think about doing one I had planned. It was an Assassin's Creed review, not of the new one, but of an older one, and the whole thing is it's a mystery. But I want to make sure I have the Halloween episode recorded and happy with it and edited and everything before I think about going back and doing my Lord of the Rings video or this Assassin's Creed video I want to release. But yeah, just a life and channel update. I'm going to miss a couple weeks, but hopefully you guys understand, and hopefully at one time I get back on a schedule that I'm happy with. I was thinking about creating a poll on Twitter. Would you guys like me to have a scheduled video, or it's done when it's done? And I'll make that poll on Twitter the day this goes up, make it last for 2 days. Hope you vote on it, and be honest. Be like totally honest. If you're just like, hey, what makes my week is I love watching YouTube, but I love watching you every Friday. Be honest, and I will, whatever gets the most, I'll work most towards you guys. Be sure to check me out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and my own personal website, www.TeslaChad.com. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you have any recommendations for a video that you'd like to see me do in the future, be sure to leave it in the comments.